being a permaculture designer consultant, it isn't just a business. You are like being in a relationship with people
very
that
much
you care about.
Sure. Yeah. And Sandy and Alan being leaders in their community, and leaders in no matter which community they live in, they're always leaders in their community. They enable a whole host of other people to participate with them in what they're doing, and so they really are absolute leaders, and Couch and Valley is so lucky to have them.
Thank you.
So you guys have a lot of interesting things going on because you've got your solar panels on your roof, you've got your rainwater harvesting system. The clay for that was used to build what's behind here. And what's behind here is a combination greenhouse with a cold storage root cellar on the back with an insulated wall between, and living roof on top of the cold storage, and a biogas digester, which is really a neat conglomeration of 3 different units into one small compact. So do you want to quickly explain to us how you guys process and...
Okay. Well, the biogas digester, it's hard to say.
It totally is, yeah.
Biogas digester, really what it's doing is it's shortcutting a composting system in that organic matter goes in and you capture methane gas, which is a result of the decomposition, and you also, as the byproduct of that, there's a waste, a liquid waste, which is an amazing fertilizer, and that's what is in these 2 tanks right here. That's the digestate, it's called. Now, the initial part of these, how this whole system works, is this sink right here. Organic material, in our case, most of it is food scraps from a restaurant that a friend of Sandy's owns and works at. We collect that once a week, and that material goes into this sink, which has a really skookum, I don't know if you know that word. That's a
good Canadian word.
That's a Canadian Chinook or jargon word, meaning a good, strong...
Big ass.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, garburator and sinkerator underneath it. So that really chews up all the material, which goes into this holding tank here.
It's like a feedstock mixer.
And inside this tank, there are paddles, and in behind this, for protection, there's a electric motor which is on a timer. So 2 or 3 times a day, that timer triggers the motor to come on and keep this material stirred, so that the solid matter doesn't settle to the bottom. And then there's another timer connected to a pump, which pumps this material into the greenhouse, and inside there is the actual digester, and that's another tank exactly like this, but the tank has heating tape wrapped around it and insulation around that, and it's in a large plywood box. And the reason for that is to keep the digester at a steady temperature of about 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, yeah.
And that seems to be the optimum for the bacteria to work at.
Yeah, they're happy when they're warm.
Now, initially, cow manure is used and pumped into the digester to provide the bacteria as kind of an inoculant, just like sourdough bread, for instance. That gets the bacteria going, and once they're happy and chewing away, then you can start feeding them the organic matter. You don't need to have manure anymore, although you can. You can put pretty much anything organic that will go through the carburetor in there, including small bones, meat, scraps, anything like that. Now, once the material's in the digester, it also has the same kind of paddles in it which keep it stirred so that solids don't settle out. And as the bacteria decompose the material, methane gas is produced. And the gas comes through a pipe over into this system here, which looks pretty complicated. And as you can see, everything here is made from kind of scrounged materials. There's hardly anything new here. We try to reuse whatever we can.
Knowing that, it looks great. It's actually very visually pleasant too.
It looks like a Rube Goldberg contraption, but the gas is pumped, well, by pressure. Through its own pressure, it comes and it goes through these two scrubbers. One takes out water vapor, and the other one takes out sulfites, which would create hydrogen sulfide. And then it goes into this tank, and this tank has water in it with salt added so that it doesn't freeze in the wintertime. And the gas actually goes into a propane tank like this, which has the bottom cut off it so that it can float, and as gas is added, this rises. And then as that rises, it's counterweighted over here with a bucket with rocks in it. And that has a switch connected to it, so as this goes down, when it reaches a certain point, it triggers a switch, which then turns on a compressor, which is just a small refrigerator compressor, and that pumps the gas into these propane tanks, which are used for the storage. The gas itself, we use, it gets pumped through the wall. It was put in while this was being constructed, and on the other side there's a little kitchen nook with a cook stove there, and there's also an outlet into the greenhouse so that we can heat the greenhouse if we need to.
Has it produced a considerable amount of savings going? I think you're now running this for also inside the main home.
We do a lot of cooking on it.
Yeah.
We come out here to do our cooking, but yes,
It doesn't go into our main house.
It doesn't go into the house itself, but we come out here to do the cooking, and
got it.
Particularly larger things like stews, anything which needs heating a large volume. That's what it seems it's the most.
Maple syrup.
Yes.
And yes, we also use it for making our own maple syrup. We have 3 maple trees on the property which we tap in the winter, collect the sap, and then we're able to boil it down to make syrup. Now that takes an awful lot of this gas because the ratio is something like 70-1. You have to boil that much water off to actually make syrup. But
it's not like the East Coast sugar maples, which is...
These don't have such a high sugar content, but it's delicious, delicious syrup.
Well, we may have to go home with a bottle of that.
No, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much, Alan. That's great. It's neat to see a digester that has been installed and gone through its processes, and it's actually, you're the only compressor I know, digester that I know, that actually compresses the gas into a gas tank.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that way we can store a lot more.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
You're welcome.
Guys, you rock. Look at the amount of depth that is here in just British Columbia in just a small area. So if you're in the area, come by, and we'll put a link to some ways to contact and get involved in what's going on. So make sure to check out schoolofpermaculture.com. Take a course from us, hire a consultant. Know that the proceeds from those go to our aid and our orphanage program. You guys rock. We love you. We'll play air guitar with you. And we'll see you next time.